Okay, good. All right, welcome to the Appium talk. The robot will be here shortly. It's got to make its grand entrance, but it sent its first tweets this morning on Jason Huggins' account. So, testing the future. Hashtag sent from my robot. Hashtag SEConf. And then, the revolution will be automated. And that's a picture of it tweeting that tweet. And so, oh, there it is. It's already here. Anyway, don't. All right, so now on to the talk. We'll get to that later. So, I'm here today to talk about Appium. Appium is an implementation of the WebDriver API that supports automating apps on Chrome, mobile, Safari, and iOS and Android, of course, native and hybrid. It's one solution for all your mobile automation needs. So today we're going to talk about a few different things. We'll talk about sort of the architecture and design of Appium. We'll give a tour of the .app, which I like because it makes it really accessible to automate mobile. We'll do a little Q&A, a little robot fun time, and then give you some links if you want to learn some more. So there's 4 key pillars to the Appium philosophy. The first is that you shouldn't have to modify your app. It's the same thing you ship to your customers, no different. You should be able to do it in any language you want. You shouldn't have to learn a new API just to do it. We should implement a standard API, which is Selenium WebDriver in this case, and we want to build a thriving open source community. We have dozens of questions on the list daily, dozens of people in IRC at any given time, 300 plus GitHub stars, 175 plus forks, thousands of commits, and over 700 bugs fixed. All that in just 5 months. We support, as I said, all of these things and robots, which we will get to later. The way we do it for iOS, we use Apple's instruments. And it actually does work with iOS 7. We found that out yesterday. Someone had the new Xcode at WWDC and told me that it works. So we still work, which is good. We use UI Automator for Android if you're using API 7 or 16 or higher. If you're using 15 or less, we will use Selendroid, which is a project by Dominic Derry. And then we do it all through Selenium WebDriver. And my favorite thing, it's easy to install. I think during the workshop, we got a little carried away with installing things for the demo. Installing Xcode and Android dev tools combined with all this is a lot of things to do in a short workshop. I just wanted to reiterate that it's actually, you just download a .app and it works. And for Android, you have to export one environment variable and it works. It's really easy, really easy to do. So one key advantage, I guess, of Appium is that we have a really strong GUI for sketching out your automation ideas and inspecting your app. It lets you launch the server, set all your preferences from there. No -- verbose, log level equals. It's all in a nice little checkbox text field format for Windows and Mac. Inspector lets you probe your application, gives you sort of a visual feel for what you're doing. You can try out things. You can record and generate code in Objective-C, Python, Java, Ruby, and C#. You can play back the C#. Hey. Play back your actions, and this isn't done yet, so I probably should take it out of the slides, but eventually you'll be able to just convert your UI automation code to Appium code. And the Windows version exists, but it doesn't do a lot of the inspector stuff. It will just launch the server for you right now. And that brings me to a point. During the workshop, some of you on Windows may have a little trouble. We found the bug. We are fixing it. We will send an email to all of you once we fix it, and I apologize for that. A lot of rapid development. We didn't check the Windows thing as well as we should have. If you download the oldest version from the site, though, I believe that one still works. It's whatever the oldest version we posted for Windows. I think it's like 052 or something. So I'll walk you through the app real quick. This is the main window. Has a couple different fields. You can set the IP address and port on which you want to launch your WebDriver server. You can also just use one that already exists, like in a Selenium grid or like a cloud configuration. You just choose the path to your app, so your .app or your .apk or a .zip or a .ipa. You can specify a UDID if you want to use a real device. You only need to do this for iOS. For Android, it's automatic. You give the bundle ID for the app. If it's already installed on the phone, you don't need to install it. You can force the simulator to certain devices, and you can also fire up mobile Safari with that. There's some more preferences here. I'll just go through them real quick. You can turn off the log level. You can keep a lot of the data after you run the tests. You can have it reset your application state, like wipe all the user data after you run it. There's some more advanced stuff. There's the robot configuration, where you can hook up an Appium-compatible robot, of which there are 2 now. and have all your tap events be sent to the robot instead of through the software. There's also some various iOS settings for forcing orientation, some Android settings for how you clean it up, and then if you're actually a developer, there's some debug settings for working on the Appium server. This is Inspector. This is how you sort of visualize your app and dig into like how you can automate. You'll see you have filters at the top to sort of filter out elements that may not be shown. That really helps. You have a record button, which will enable the recorder, which we'll get to in a minute. You have a refresh button if you need to update the DOM and the screenshot. You have a screenshot, which is clickable so that you can select things in your app. Beneath that, you have an action palette with all the different actions that Appium supports recording for. And you can just click that, drive it. I'll give a demo of that in a minute, and watch your app go. And in the lower right hand, you have just details about the selected element. And then if you have a hybrid app, there's that window drop down to change between the web views. So native is the native application layer, but they also see different web views that you might have in your app there. This is the recorder. It's the same thing, only whenever you try stuff out, it generates nice code for you in your favorite language and lets you replay, undo, that kind of thing. So with that being said, I'll give a quick demo of the app, just sort of what it looks like. You might have seen this in the montage, but it was probably going by so fast that it's hard to tell what was going on. So this is the Appium server. And I just downloaded this, no config. I just choose the path to my app, which is Zeusk. That's where I work. And I hit one other preference. I need to hit pre-launch so that it pre-launches, and I will disable my robot because it's not hooked up. And that's it. I hit launch, and fires up my simulator. Now I can write automation. It takes a second for the sim to boot sometimes, but come on. All right, there we go. So this is the Zeusk iPhone app. And I can go ahead and launch the inspector. And now I'm probing it. And you can see I can click around and select what I want to select. If I want to try tapping a button, hit the tap. It'll tap that for me. You'll see that I should actually bring the phone out so you can see it. It'll do things. So in this case, it took a screenshot in the middle. Let's refresh that. And let's get out of here. Let's tap back. So I'm controlling the app, and I can sort of try things out. And so once I got something I like, I can start recording it. So I'll record like just typing in a password here. Actually, go away. I'll have to do it from here. I forget sometimes, so my password is password. And you'll see that when I do this, Appium will type over there. Hold on, let's try that again. There we go. I don't know why I did it wrong. Actually, let's do it right this time. Okay. So you can see why that didn't work. I didn't select the element. All right, one more time. There we go. So now I have the code for this, and I can translate that immediately into whatever language I feel most comfortable and paste it into my Selenium test. So you can see, I like C#. And if you need the whole thing, there's a boilerplate for you with all the imports, all the stuff. And if I liked it so much I want to see it again, there's a replay button, and you'll see it replays it. So if you had a series of actions like that, and then I click, I don't know, you get the idea. And I guess one other cool thing I'll show you is with some of the touch actions, you can just program them with a click of a mouse. So let me get rid of that keyboard. So if I want to swipe, I just click over here, and you can see the swipe that I drew. You can sort of set a speed for it. And then you just hit perform, and it will actually do that swipe. So this doesn't move. It's a static page, but if it were, you'd see it move. That's a quick tour of the app. You don't have to use it. You can just write regular Selenium WebDriver code if you want, but I know my team finds it really helpful when they're writing automation to just be able to sort of try it out, and if it works, paste it in the test. All right, so I guess I can show it for Android too. It's all the same. Oops, didn't want to do that. Let's just speed this up. All right, didn't want to. All right, let's bring Appium back. Only this time, let's select my Android SDK, or my Android. Dev, workspace, Android, Zeusk, bin. Oh, I don't have one built. Oh. Do I have one? Oh, I have one right there. Great. I have one in my downloads folder. And see, all I had to do Android is I have to change that. And then for Android, you will need to set like a launch activity and a package. So in this case, our package is com.zeus.zeus. And then I guess I also have to launch an AVD. This will take a little bit, but because the Android emulator boots up a little slow. But I'm using the same inspector, the same recorder toolset, and now I'm doing Android. And the only install piece is exporting that. Oh, did it not? What did it like? Oh. Anyways, let's get on to the robot. Let's get on to the more interesting stuff. So let's talk about robots. So we currently support 2 robots. Bitbeam Delta 2, I believe, is, what's the word, deprecated, but it exists. I have one, and it's great for iPad. There's also Tapster, which is the new hotness, which you'll see over there. And what we do is just when you set up Appium, there's a preference to set up an IP address for your robot server, which you can run, and it forwards all the events to it. This will enable us to send touch events like tapping and swiping, but also eventually things that may not be supported by Apple's automation framework or Android's, like hitting the home button or task switching or, I don't know, dropping your phone, whatever the robot can eventually do. So how does it work? It's not that crazy, but I'll explain it. Whenever Appium receives a touch event, instead of sending it to the software, it sends it to the robot. The robot is calibrated to know where in the physical world the pixels on the mobile device lie. And that is done by lowering the robot finger in a calibration routine until it touches the screen, and then Appium can detect when it touches the screen because our app has an element that will display upon touch of the screen, which it'll read the coordinates, and then we'll find, positive x, positive y, do some matrix algebra, and voila, we can now map the robot to where to go. So before we get to robot demo time, does anyone have any questions about Appium while I go grab the robot for the demo? Anything you want to know? Or
in the future, do you think this would ever integrate with the new builder, Selenium builder?
Possibly. We had talks about that, but I need.
Your demo or my demo?
Let's do mine first.
Great.
Okay. Is that great or not great?
Not great.
Okay, let's do yours first then.
Excellent.
All right.
Can you carry my laptop?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
We need to switch the projector, but that's easy.
Exactly. Hi.
So now it's the publicity stunt you've all been waiting for. This robot is going to tweet.
Oh, wait, stop saying things.
Why?
Well, stop making promises. Let's see. I like it whenever you...
This robot will do something. I'll say that.
There you go.
Do we need the other robot up here? Oh yeah, I guess we do.
That's close. I need to set up your shipment to...
If you move the laptop back.
Maybe, or if I put it there.
Oh, by the way, if you don't know, this is Jason Huggins. What are you, CTO of Sauce Labs or something? I don't know what your title is.
Co-founders, too.
Yeah. He's also the Selenium creator guy.
All right. Yeah. Can you see? Just don't move too so fast. You're scaring me. Okay, the reason why I didn't want to unplug it because I got everything working, so I don't know what'll happen. Hi, I'm Jason. So, okay, I've been working on this crazy idea. A couple of years ago, it struck me that I've been describing Selenium as it's kind of like a robot. And then I got frustrated by the phrase kind of. So I call it, if everyone's seen Tron, where the guy falls into the computer screen, I call this the reverse Tron. I'm taking Selenium that's been trapped in the computer and taking it out and putting it into the real world. So this is the first version of this thing. And all of this stuff is actually laser cut wood. And I just built this contraption. I would put my phone down there and move it around. Someone saw this demo a year and a half ago and they said, like, wow, that's great, that's amazing that you did that, but it's really slow and boring. You should make it go faster. So I took his advice and moved to this Delta bot design. So this is generation 2. And there's also a funny trick about demos. If it doesn't work, take a picture. If it does, make a movie. So this was completely staged, and that's my handwriting. Basically, for the last year, I've been a complete fraud because I just drew that, and then you're left to imagine that the robot actually drew that. But I've been working basically since I actually created this robot to make it actually work. And hey, I've got some movies to show you. And let's see if I think I have, this is now generation 3. That's me. This is a workshop that we did a month ago in New York City, and this is the robot that's like sitting right here. As far as canned videos, it's always good to show something that actually is working before I do the live demo. A couple of guys who came to the workshop, they are doing the iPhone app for Nike to test their Fuel Bands bracelet. And there's this phrase I like about inventions and technology. When a particular invention, and I made this to click buttons on the phone. I was like, oh, you're using it to test your iPhone app. And then I saw their video, and they're using it in an unintended way. I would have never imagined that, but they said they needed a robot to shake the wristband because the iPhone app, when I guess this is like a big thing now, you wear a thing like a Fitbit or whatever, and you jog around and it measures activity. And then your iPhone app shows you how many steps you took. So they abused this to do awesome things. So I think robots are going to be useful somehow, and I'm already stunned on all the different weird ways that people are using it. But hey, now you can use a robot to test your phone, and I guess they would need a second robot to actually click buttons and do verify things. Anyway, so there's lots of crazy stuff going on, and so this robot is getting to the point where it's kind of sort of useful. Other random things about this. I designed my own Lego-compatible building toy 3D printable stuff to build it out of. Like this particular version is completely 3D printable, and these are the files. So the project is up on GitHub, and it's Hugs is me and TapsRobot's the name of the project. Let's get on to kind of an actual little demo here. One of the things that made this project really frustrating for the last year to make it actually work is I had to do a couple things, but if you can see here, let's see if I can make this a little bit better. If I click over here, it's clicking on the right of the screen. If I click over here, it's clicking on the left of the screen. There's the live feed, roughly. Yeah, it's mostly working. So to be able to do this, this is effectively 2 years of, well, last 48 hours, you're doing a bunch of work, and someone else contributing some code. You have to, the robot thinks in terms of millimeters, but your iPhone thinks in terms of pixels. So you have to map two Cartesian systems, math and algorithms and all kinds of crazy stuff. And so that software, I had the physical structure, but the software took a while to land. So someone read some awesome white paper, Dan did and another guy did, and anyway, we have that. The other thing that I've been waiting to land for the last year is robots don't know anything about the world, but they know it's made of 3 servos and it speaks angles. So I had to translate between the angles to get to the millimeter land, and then the second translation to go from millimeter land into pixel land. So there's a whole bunch of software and a whole bunch of algorithmic craziness that once you have a physical structure, it's pretty dumb. So humanity has nothing to fear yet, because even though it looks scary and convoluted, the software is, we still have lots of ways to go. So this was kind of like a training app. There's kind of a calibration going on here. That's not so interesting. Let's see if I actually can bring up, this is where the demo is kind of hybrid manual testing. Also an interesting thing about the screenshots that are coming up here, it's a little bit slow, and this is another improvement that came up recently. For the last 2 years, I've been using a device, a physical device. It's like $300, and you do frame grabbing off the phone. That's from Epiphan. It's a thing called VGA to USB. This thing is actually connected. I've got the USB cable talking to the phone, and it's LiveByMobile device. So thanks to Francois for telling me about that 2 days ago. So that is a free tool that you do not require a jailbroken phone, but you can get to you can get a screenshot from anywhere on the screen. So this is a limitation of a lot of tools, is to be able to get to anywhere on the iPhone, not just the app that you want to test. So I've got, so what happens anyway, LiveByMobile, I'm using a screenshot tool running in a separate window here that's just grabbing a screen every second. And then my little web app here is grabbing it as fast as it can and throwing it up on the screen. So the downside to it being free is that there's a huge latency. It takes a couple of seconds to update the screen. If you want to spend a lot of money on those devices, you can get higher frame rates per second. So anyway, I'll kind of show you the beginnings of me sending a tweet from my phone. And again, it's kind of weird because it's not fully automated. It's like roughly a remote control. But imagine here, or actually you don't have to imagine, you've got all of the coordinates. So when I click, let me show you here. When I click here, roughly, to kind of start sending a tweet, you've got a down event. That is the pixel on the screen that I clicked, and the algorithm is translating that into, these are 3 servo angles. So that's 40, 11, and 24. That's to go over, and then this is effectively going down and then back up. So that's a click. Anyways, this is, robot eats and breathes this stuff. It doesn't, anyway, so you have to do all these translations to go from pixels to angles. So let's see if I actually can write something simple with all that drama. Oh, I guess I have to select my account. What you can't see is this. I'm on the wrong screen. Right, so let me select my account again. Got some debugging to do, obviously. There we go. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to do a very simple thing. Let's see if I can bang this out. Nope. I'm going to try to spell the word oh hi. And if I don't get that, because I figured that's only 4 letters, that shouldn't take too long. So now that I have something that can generally go in the right direction, now the accuracy is the key thing. It's going in the wrong direction. Yeah, so I'm just going to stop right now and not send this tweet. Right. That's why I showed you the pre-canned videos of things, because live demos are always kind of crazy. So my robot is not quite cooperating. It's kind of close, but I keep hitting the M key. Anyway, if you saw previous versions of this robot also, it played Angry Birds, and but it didn't do it very well. So besides some demos that I want kind of pre-canned and ready to go for automation, I want this to actually send tweets reliably. And I also finally, after a 1.5 years of smoke and mirror demos, play the 2nd level of Angry Birds with the robot. Because now I have this, the translation between all the Cartesian systems so I can actually play it. So the source code for what I'm now calling Tapster or TapsterBot is all on GitHub. And it's all using Node awesomeness. So the source code is there. If you actually want to download and make your own robot, you can download all these files. I've also listed a bill of materials here. So you can say bomb on a plane, as long as you're mentioning the word bill of materials. So these are all the parts you need, and then the vendors and all this stuff like that, so you can make your own. Supposedly, someday soon, I'll be making these and trying to get these out as kits. Right now I'm focusing on doing workshops and kind of getting these out there like in batches. So if you live in a city and you want me to come around and we can do crazy things like this, yeah, come talk to me. So sorry it didn't actually send the tweet, mostly because I'm just sending typos and it's hard to do it when everyone's watching. But anyway, that's, I might be able to send a tweet out while I'm taking questions.
Oh, I have a demo.
Oh, hey, right.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
a demo should work because it requires less precision.
Ready?
I need this.
I don't. It's funny. I live in Chicago, and I'm on this list called like Maker Business. It's like a bunch of makers who, you need this? Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
While you're talking, you need it, but I will eventually need it.
So I'm like the only one of my friends who hasn't done a Kickstarter yet, and I'm kind of, like, hey, Jason, you're a loser. Anyway, so like, yeah, I know. Eventually, I probably will. I probably got various different ideas. I don't know what the right Kickstarter is, because just the Bitbeam is what I call it, the Lego stuff, that could be a Kickstarter, or it could be the robot. And I know Kickstarter is generally more towards consumer things. If this is a robot for testing, I suspect it's great for this crowd, but not for the Kickstarter crowd. So I haven't figured out whether I'm making, like, here's a box of open source Lego knockoff 3D printable stuff, or here's a robot that mistypes Twitter apps. I haven't figured out, I don't know what my message is, but if you could help me craft my Kickstarter thing, there definitely will be a Kickstarter. I just don't know in what way and what I'm actually asking. Once I have clarity on that, I'll do it.
All right. Still about 10 more minutes left in this talk, and I have a few good things to go through. But applause for Hugs and Robots and Tapster. All right, so this is the future. We tried to get it working. I wrote a check we couldn't cash. It's okay, but we do have working robot demos, and I'll show you the power of Appium to drive a robot now. And so the way it works is, let's go, bots, Tapster. There exists a server for the robot that you can kick off like this, and you'll see. Actually, I should get it out of the Twitter app. And once you kick that off, you can just talk to it over HTTP. And so we have a calibration routine, and we've described it, and I will show it to you real quick. And then once you calibrate it, you can actually do some interesting stuff. So I'm going to calibrate it real quick. It takes about a minute, a little less maybe. Oh, I should probably start Appium. That would make sense. So Appium is going to launch an app on here that all it does is tell you the coordinate you're tapping, and this is what we use for calibration. And once Appium starts, my robot is started, I can now run the calibration routine. So it's going to lower the pen until it touches the phone. That way it finds where in the z-axis the phone lies. So you can see it's inching downward to touch the phone, and it's going to grab a point, and now it's going to find your positive x and your positive y directions. And once you have that, you can make a translation matrix where you can map your pixels to your actual millimeters on the robot. So it's about to be done. It's touching the last point. We've touched it. All is good. We now have a calibrated robot. All we have to do is reboot the server with our calibration file. Once you load a calibration file, the robot is now capable of speaking iPad. So it knows where things are. It's speaking iPad. Let's do something with it. So I will kill my calibration app, and I will launch. Oh, we should probably not. Do we have a camera up here? No one's going to be able to see this. I just thought of that. Well, I can show it to you. Actually, you kind of will see it. So.
Wait, hold on. This is dangerous.
I am. It's okay. But they'll see it on the inspector. I'll do it with the inspector, and they'll see it. It's okay. All right, so now I'm launching Appium Inspector, only now I'm inspecting the device underneath the robot. You'll see it's exactly the same. There is a bug with Retina displays on devices where it thinks the screen's smaller than it is, so you'll see these things don't. The click to select doesn't work with a real device with newer iPhones right now, but I can still select it from the DOM. So first I will use Appium just to give two numbers. This is a simple app that just computes a sum. So in the first text field, I'll just type the number 2. And it's not going to use the robot for this because we're not at key precision as you just saw by Jason's demo. But we type a 2. For now, it'll send it through the old interface. We'll type another 2 here. And you'll see that pop up on the inspector. But now, instead of tapping with the software, we're going to tap with the robot. So I select the Compute Sum button. I go to Touch. I hit the tap. And that robot is going to tap that button. And it did. And you will see it updates with the sum because it tapped it. And there it is. And so now, so now you can see the power of Appium to drive these things. Appium can inspect the DOM. It knows where things live. And it can tell the robot where they live. And the robot knows how to translate its motions to where on the iPad you want to touch. And you can see the possibility. All you have to do is provide a robot port, and Appium, or this robot is tapping all of your automation. So we've only implemented tap right now, but we will eventually implement swipe. It's just a little bit different robot programming. But that's the excitement of robots. And I think I'm out of time for robots, so I will get to my last 2 slides. By the way, if you want to buy one of these, I'll put a link up, I think. Just Google Tapster bot, or is it Tapster? You'll find it. They're like 300, I don't know what they are. Anyway, we actually need contributors, which is the main reason why I'm giving this talk. I'm hoping someone here can contribute. We would love documentation writers or people just to answer questions. We have a lot of good people. There's probably a few dozen contributors on Appium. We've had commits from, I looked last time, 75 different people. We have, maybe 6 or 7 regular committers, but we have a lot of irregulars, which is really nice. We have a few people that just help out on the message boards. I see one of them out there. We also need Node.js devs for the Appium server. Objective-C devs would be great. We have the .app, which is Objective-C. C#.NET devs for the EXE. We actually found one the other day, and I'm meeting him after this meeting. I don't know where he is. His name's Stefan or Stepan? There he is. He's right there. He's going to help with our EXE. And Java devs, because our Android has a little layer of Java middleware in it. And lastly, here's all the information you can ever want on Appium. We have a website. We have a GitHub site where you can download the code. We have a discussion group, which posts dozens of questions a day and dozens of answers a day. We have a Twitter channel. We have a free node that I didn't put up there, with a chat room that has about 20, 25 people in it most of the time. Really, we're out there to help, and we just want to have all of you automate your mobile apps. Any questions before I wrap this up? All right, well, thank you very much.